This is Taking Stock. I'm Bruce Whitfield, and this week from a Burger King in downtown Cape Town. This Burger King is the first in South Africa. It was the one where the queues were snaking around the block in the first week or two of trade. It's just below the offices of Grand Parade Investments. Grand Parade Investments, which has been in the gaming business for a long time, then sought to diversify into food, and they brought Baskin-Robbins and Dunkin' Donuts and Burger King to South Africa. They've closed down the first two, and we'll get on to the reasons for that. But Grand Parade Investments has got a long and interesting South African heritage, and Hassen Adams, who is the founding chairman, has just this week made the announcement to be stepping down from an executive chairman's role to a non-executive chairman's role. And from a corporate governance perspective, that's quite important, and we'll explain why as well. Hassen Adams, why did you start Grand Parade?
Look, Grand Parade started as an idea which sort of germinated from the casino business. You know, I mean, we were asked to put an empowerment company together.
So we're talking about 1994 time? Or
yeah, it was just post after 1994, and I'll never forget it. In 1996, I was called by Sun International at the old SAF Marine House on the 23rd floor, and they said, look, they would like us to put an empowerment group together. And they had 4 people there, myself and a couple of others. And I just come out of a meeting with Mandela, you know, and I said to him, look, I don't want to be an office. I used to be an office bearer in the ANC and so on. I'm not going to focus on business. And he said, I want you to be a torchbearer rather, you know. And I said, what is a torchbearer? And he said to me, I want you to shine the light on as many people as possible because I know you can do that. And, you know, a long story prevailed after that. And I left, I walked out into SAF Marine's house, and here the 4 of us were sitting with another big empowerment group from Johannesburg, the Whip Ladies. They were also there. And I just, you know, decided, no, it's not about Hassen Adams, you know, it's about my community. And that's how Grand Parade started. I said, no, we want to engage as many people as possible to give them an opportunity to participate in the mainstream economy.
So did you do what, the equivalent of an IPO, or what Anton Rupert did in the 1920s, which, except he went from wine farm to wine farm to wine farm to get his seed capital. You got your seed capital from the Cape Flats community.
Let me explain to you. It was quite an event because Sun was shocked, but they agreed with me. And so the 4 of us were tasked to put as many community shareholders together. So we went from one civic center to another, whether it was in Nyanga or Gugulethu or Bonteheuwel or Kensington, all over the Western Cape. But we opened the window to people all over the country, especially women's groups and so on. And, you know, we eventually had more than 20,000 shareholders coming to the party, you know, and quite frankly, a lot of them were little groups, you know, farmer groups and women's groups and so on. And it was just an amazing journey because we collected 28 million, you know, and I thought, wow, look at this, you know. Some people put in as little as 500 Rand. But everybody wanted to be part of this journey because they've never been able to do this. They didn't even know what the share was all about. So it's like teaching people how to vote. I worked on the voters training program before the election, and you had to create a chairman and a treasurer, and you sit there and the guy says, point of order, Mr. Chairman, you know the story and what you've got to eat. Just allow them to bring out all of that.
But have you achieved the goal? I mean, have you created an empowerment vehicle that is broad and sustainable, that has added real value to the lives of those 20,000 people who entrusted you 20 years ago, more?
Yeah, look, I think that the bottom line is you've got to understand that 20,000 shareholders have shrunk because they've sold their shares, and in some cases they've increased because they've died and they've got their kids to inherit it. And so GPI is a live model of empowerment, you know. The bottom line is they are the founding members that provided the capital for the business to start. I want you to remember that because I know you're going to come and ask me about other shareholders later on, so I'm prompting this whole thing. I'm saying to you that 28 million we used of their money to initiate the capital that was needed for our cash drawdown in the casinos, which we did appropriately. And then the next month we were told we need another 28 million. And I said, well, we can't do it. We had to borrow money at that time because banks wouldn't lend us money. We had to borrow money at 35% interest. Remember, interest rates were 25%,
yeah,
so
I remember well.
They were just below the usury act, and we did it. And today I can proudly say, you know, of all of those shareholders, they got their money back more than 60, 70 times in dividends. Now, that is a huge achievement, I think.
And in those days, it was a gaming company. You were making gambling machines at Elsie's River, if memory serves, somewhere like that. You then changed a big change in strategy. You've still got the stakes in SunWest, and you've still got those gaming stakes, but you decided to go into fast food. You brought Burger King to the country, and the queues were good, and you tried Baskin-Robbins, and you tried, of course, Dunkin' Donuts. Those didn't work out. Why was there that huge change in strategy?
Our philosophy was that we weren't going to take opportunities off the shelf of the government. We're not an empowerment company that, you know, would take opportunities like you see nowadays and it blows up in your face. We wanted to get to challenge new frontiers. And by that I mean we wanted to get involved with the management of the business so that we understand what it's all about. In the casinos, we were amazingly needed for our skills. You know, I built the whole casino at Grand West in 11 months. Sunputs made me the custodian of the whole construction site, and they got a shock how we brought all of our people in there and got them to be part of the building. We created joint ventures with established companies.
But why did you change strategy?
Okay, the issue is that everything in life must change, you know. So the gaming assets showed nice growth. They were happy with it, we were happy with it. So along comes, for instance, Burger King. And Burger King was a great opportunity as an introduction into South Africa. So many people wanted Burger King, and they just liked us. They said that we want you because you have the factory, Mac Brothers, we could produce our own equipment, etc., etc. You had the capacity to grow and have the capital to do it. Now, at that time, I thought, well, you know, Burger King, I'll never forget how it started.
You were watching horse racing?
I was in Dubai.
Yes.
I was in Dubai. Sheikh Mohammed invited me with about 40 other business leaders on his yacht called the Dubai. It wasn't a yacht, it looks like a ship. But anyway, there I sat next to a guy called Andreas Jacobs of the Jacobs dynasty, German dynasty in chocolates and coffee. And I think the vice president of the Forbes 500. And we were chatting, and Andreas said to me, Hassen, don't you want to open up Burger King in South Africa? I said, why not? You know, and only then, only after that discussion, I realized how big it is, you know, and what it entailed. So it wasn't about Hassen Adams then, it was about GPI.
But do you now, in retrospect, regret going onto that yacht in Dubai? Simply because it's been very expensive, it's been massively time-consuming, it's been very distracting. It encouraged you then to bring Baskin-Robbins and Dunkin' Donuts, which didn't work, and you've shut those down. Was the move from gaming into QSR a strategic error?
I can tell you that we made a decision to change direction, you know, and to use the funds that we got out of gaming and grow this company from a 28 million rand investment to a multi-billion rand company.
But it's worth less today than it was 5 years ago when you were more heavily entrenched.
But can I just also say to you, I think 90% of the South African economy is worth less than what it was 5 years ago. So come on, give me some slack here, you know?
No, but it's a change of strategy, though, and I wonder if you regret that change.
No, we're not. Only now we're seeing this huge light at the end of the tunnel. I mean, I've just asked my CEO earlier on, what does the numbers look like right now in terms of our turnover? For the last 6 months or so, we've improved the numbers substantially. We now have a turnover of over R1 billion.
Just in Burger King?
Just in Burger King. And the growth in Burger King has been exponential. Now, the question that you need to ask me is why?
We'll ask you that question in just a moment, because Burger King is showing signs of a turnaround. Baskin-Robbins and Dunkin' Donuts have been closed down. When I last spoke to the chief executive of Grand Parade Investments, he suggested that they were going to bring in partners into Burger King. I wonder if that is still the strategy, and whether or not Grand Parade Investments is looking to exit the QSR market altogether. That question to Hassen Adams in just a moment.